Hello my friends. Today I'm going to describe how to access the AstroDatabank data in the Sirius 2.0 Astrology software. So what is the AstroDatabank data? It's a collection of thousands of birth data of famous people. There's also some cities, some people with medical issues. Most of it is famous people, at least that's the part of the AstroDatabank that's included in the Sirius software. The data has been collected by hundreds of astrologers over decades. The data was assembled and organized by astrologer Lois Rodden, who lived from 1928 to 2003. It's continued development, improving the data, adding more data by many people since Lois Rodden's death in 2003. And it also, in the data collection, it's not only just the date, time, and place of birth, but also accuracy rating for how accurate it is, information on how the data was collected, and biographical information, and the data is categorized in various ways, such as profession, or if the person has, is an alcoholic, or some other interesting traits. That information is given as well. Now, what has happened to the Lois Rodden data over the years? Well, first she had a newsletter that she sent out. It became software, and now it's available at www.astro.com. Okay. So this data that has been developed by many people, assembled, and now is available at www.astro.com, is also included in the Sirius 2.0 software. So Sirius 2.0 has over 84,000 birth data out of that 84,000, most of it, or no, some of it is famous people, some of it is companies. When a company incorporated, or the first trade date, sometimes called the initial public offering, data for when cities incorporate. So different things. There's also earthquake data and stuff like that. In total, over 84,000 charts. And about 99% of the AstroDatabank data of famous people, which is about over 20,000 charts, is also included as part of those 84,000 charts. Now, how did this develop? Why is this data available in the Series 2.0? Well, it's been achieved mainly by three important contributors. Number one, Alois Trindle, and the rest of the good people at AstroDienst, which is the company that runs Astro.com. They generously are allowing us to include the data in Sirius. I say allowing us because I am one of the software developers of the Sirius program. So it's basically they invested into getting this data to make it available to astrologers as a contribution to astrology, and then furthermore said it's fine for us to import that data. Secondly, Richard Smoot, who owned the company that provided the AstroDatabank data and software, arranged with Alois Trindle to have the data for free at astro.com. And that's the primary way it's available. Until now, until recently, in late 2014, that data has been imported into the Sirius software through the hard work of our team of programmers at Cosmic Pattern Software. On top of those three main themes are the hundreds of people who've collected the data, contributed it to journals, shared it with their colleagues in astrology and so on. It's just an enormous undertaking over decades, and it's now available in the software. Okay, so wonderful. Decades of hard work by hundreds of astrologers working in different ways to make this available, and now it's in the not only online at astro.com, it's also in the Sirius software. So how do we access the data? Very simple. You just type it in the data entry screen. That's it. You don't need to do anything special. So what we're going to do here, just to show you how this works, we'll read in the data of three popular musicians, Justin Timberlake, Katy Perry, and Lady Gaga. So here we are in the Sirius 2.0 software. I'm looking at a chart wheel, and which is not one of the three I want to show right now, and I'll click on New, and we'll clear all entries and start a new list. So let's start our new list, and we've got, who did I say, Katy Perry. So you just type in her name. I type in Perry, and there's all these Perrys. Bob Perry, Boyd Perry, Chan Perry, etc. So I'll type comma, and then K, and we see it. Or I could scroll down once I start seeing the Perrys. So there she is. I read her in, and there's her data. Now I'll click on New Chart Data, and we said Justin Timberlake, so I'll type in Timberlake, and I can see him here, Justin Timberlake. And there's his data. I'll click on New, and who was the third one I said? I don't remember who I'm doing here. Whoops, I don't want that. Lady Gaga. Okay, great. So let's go back here. We'll type Gaga. Oh, it's not under Gaga. Maybe it's under Lady. There it is, Lady Gaga. Okay, so there's the birth data. So it's that simple. So we just read it in. Now, there's some really interesting things here. I've got 3 charts. Let's go back to Katy Perry. We've got her date, time, place. Wonderful. It's just already in the data. She's categorized as composer, other style of music. That category, maybe is not the best. For Justin Timberlake, it says singer, popular, light rock, or light jazz, male. It's kind of nice, better category there, more specific. Let's see what it says for Lady Gaga. Singer, other style. So you'll see that sometimes the category is more specific. I like the one for Justin Timberlake. I think that more identifies who he is. I'll explain why that is, but they're all categorized appropriately as being musicians, and Katy Perry does write songs. She's a songwriter as well as a singer. So the categories are accurate. They could be improved sometimes, but at least their categories are in there, and the accuracy is there. We've got a B accuracy, means from a biography or autobiography for Katy Perry. For Justin Timberlake, AA, birth certificate or birth record in hand, and Lady Gaga also B data. Okay, so you may wonder, or at least I would wonder, gee, I wonder if there's any typos or any problems. Do they really get this data from, I wonder how it compares to AstroDatabank. Well, here's a wonderful thing. In the notes, for many of these charts, the notes right here, the first line is a link to the information at astro.com. And you'll see that my cursor turns into a hand, a pointing hand, meaning I can click on that. Similarly, if I look at Justin Timberlake, we see a website address, and when my cursor's on the first line, it turns into a hand, which is giving me a hint that I can click on that. And the same thing for Katy Perry. There it is. So I'll click on Katy Perry, and I get a message, open internet browser and view website page. So if you have a browser, installed on your computer, almost everybody does, and you're online, you click yes, just a little sort of warning, you might say, or information, and there we are. I'm in my browser. I happen to have 3 pages open before, and it opens up right to her page. So I can read the notes, I can read the biography information, there's a picture of her, events in her life. Very helpful is the source notes, who collected the data. These are the categories that she was assigned to. And this is how we ended up having her as composer. The first category was songwriter. Next category was vocalist, pop, rock. And when we imported this data from AstroDatabank, it picked that up and put her in the composer category, similar to songwriter, as it's called here in AstroDatabank. So fantastic. Now I can go back to Sirius. I've got it down here in my taskbar in Windows, which I haven't captured that part of my screen, but I just go back to Sirius, and here's Justin Timberlake. And for example, I can click on the link here, I get the message, I click yes, and there's Justin Timberlake. And I can compare the results. It says Justin Timberlake, rating AA, For Katy Perry, the rating is B, and in fact that is what we have. AA data for Justin Timberlake, Katy Perry is B, and if we go to Lady Gaga, we'll see that it matches also. I can click on the link, yes, and the B accuracy. So this is nice to confirm that Sirius and the online AstroDatabank agree. Sometimes they don't agree. We sometimes come to slightly different conclusions, but in most cases they will agree. Now, another interesting thing is I'll click on Done. I've got my 3 charts in here. Click on Done, and I can look at these charts. Here's Lady Gaga with the 27 Gemini 10 rising, and if I'm curious, I want to know if there's any discrepancies or different opinions, I can go back to my browser, look at Lady Gaga, and it tells me here 27 Gemini 10. So the exact same chart, the moon at 11 degrees Scorpio, and the moon at 11 degrees Scorpio, 28, exactly the same position. So there, it's nice to be able to confirm, compare. You have very professional information, confirming that it's right. You didn't have to enter the data. You didn't have to search around. It's there. It's really wonderful. And if we compare the other two, Justin Timberlake, 25 Leo 39 rising, and we go over here to Justin Timberlake, 25 Leo 39, it agrees. Go back to Sirius, Katy Perry, 28 Libra 35 rising, and Katy Perry, 28 Libra 35 rising. So in this case, complete agreement gives you the assurance that you've got data, and you can, like I said, read these source notes, biography, and so on. Now another wonderful feature here, you're in Sirius, you just type in the data, boom, it appears. Click on a link. Now you're in AstroDatabank if you want to, and you can read the notes, you can compare the information with what's in Sirius. And very often, at Astro.com, there's a link to the Wikipedia article. So you can read more about the person. It's just all at your fingertips, so easily and so convenient. I'll click on this link for Katy Perry, and now we're in Wikipedia, which is an excellent starting point for getting information. Quite detailed, all this information about Katy Perry, all at your fingertips within seconds, right there, and you can study it and compare it and analyze it to your heart's content. And then Wikipedia, of course, will have its sources at the bottom and other references that you can go to, the official website, etc., etc. And pursue it further if you want to. So you can take it to any level you want to. So there it is. That's it in a nutshell. You just type in the information, click on it, in the data entry screen, read it in, and you can do some comparisons and get more information at Astro.com, and then go on. Sometimes there's a link to Wikipedia and so on. That's about it. Let me see what I've got here in my notes. I know I have a few other things I want to mention. So let's just review these points. In most cases, there is a link to the biography data. We saw that in the data entry screen. This allows you to, number one, quickly verify and compare chart data and accuracy ratings. Read the source notes, very handy, to confirm how accurate the birth data is. Sometimes there's a link to the biography at Wikipedia. That's why I have my notes here in case I forgot to mention something. If you see any differences in the data, in this case all 3 charts match exactly, sometimes there will be a note in the notes in Sirius about why there might be a discrepancy. Let me show you that. If I go back here to view or edit chart data, click on new and get back into the data entry screen, we have notes here for each person. And these notes at the end are the notes that were imported from the AstroDatabank website. Let's look with Justin Timberlake. Just a few notes there. We can see that we had entered that data earlier, birth data from Mark Penfield. That's why it has a very precise category. So some of this data we had already had in Sirius before we imported it from AstroDatabank, and some was entered new. It was imported as new data we didn't have before. Okay, so there's some notes about Lady Gaga. Now, back to the PowerPoint. Things to be aware of. Sometimes you're going to see the birth data twice in Sirius. There's going to be duplicates. This arises from data that was in Sirius before. The name was spelled differently in AstroDatabank. For example, let's do Elvis Presley. This is an example where we had a chart in Sirius with a different spelling as compared to the way it's in AstroDatabank. Okay, so let's click. I'm in the data entry screen. I'm going to click on New Chart Data, and I'll type Presley. And we see there's Elvis Presley, and here's the duplicate. And Elvis Aaron Jr. Presley, another Elvis Aaron Jr. period. So we haven't gone through the database yet to find some of these duplicates. So I'm going to click on this one, Elvis Aaron Jr., and there's no period after the JR, and it says December 24, 1961. So this is not the Elvis Presley. This is a different Elvis Presley, and distinguished from the more famous Elvis Presley by having his middle name in there, Elvis Aaron Presley. 2 a.m., Gary, Indiana, rating of A. But I can click on this plus to open up these notes in a larger window, this magnifying lens, and it tells me data was from a television interview heard by Beth Koch, an astrologer. He makes a living, so this Elvis Aaron Presley makes a living he's an impersonator of Elvis Presley, claims to be the son of Elvis, and an actress, etc. And here's where the data was taken from. This is data we collected independently of AstroDatabank. Let me just cancel out of this. Click on New Chart Data. Let's read in the other Presley. Elvis Aaron Jr. has a dot. So my point is it appears twice. And this one, if I read the notes, is clearly the one we imported from AstroDatabank and has the link to the AstroDatabank site. So the software, when we imported it, didn't detect we already have it in there. So sometimes you'll see that, and that's not the worst thing in the world. You can read both of them in, click on Done, and see if the, you can just look at the position, see if the ascendant's the same. 27 Libra 39. The other one, 27 Libra 39. It's the same exact data. It's just a duplicate. So the data collection is not perfect. We're still it's a never-ending work. I mean, just making this data collection better and better. So that's one thing you may notice. Going back to my PowerPoint, I mentioned this, the category of the chart in Sirius sometimes could be better or more specific because we have very specific categories in the Sirius software. And I mentioned Katy Perry is assigned the category of composer, other style of music. I think the category that we gave to Justin Timberlake is a better one for people like this. Anyway, just things to mention. And also in Sirius, there's only one category assigned to the people. In the future, we could have multiple categories. I'll show you that. I'll go back in the data entry screen, view or edit chart data, and there's a place here for keywords. And you can click on keywords, and you can assign keywords. So this is basically multiple categories. I don't want to get into this now. I'm just going to click on cancel. My main point is this. Each person right now is assigned to one category. If somebody's a singer and they're also alcoholic, if they're a famous singer, they're going to be in the category singer and not alcoholic. At some future point, we could do keywords to identify all people that are alcoholics, even if that's not their main trait or main category. Okay. So I just want to tell you everything about the AstroDatabank data that's in Sirius that might be of interest, that you might think about if you own the software and use it. So we have all this data in Sirius, over 84,000 charts, over 20,000 charts that are also in Astro.com. Is it a big deal? Well, I think I have here in the title two main uses of the data, and I suppose this is obvious, but just to confirm, it's convenient, obviously. You've got the charts right there. You just type it in. You've got the link to astro.com. It's wonderful. And a second thing is you can use it for the research features that are in Sirius. You can answer questions like, what do musicians have in common? What do singers have in common? What do guitarists have in common? You could call up some people that have some similarities. Maybe Lady Gaga and Madonna have some similarities. Call up their charts real quick. Look at it, compare. I'll show you an idea of how the research works very quickly. I'll get out of the data entry screen by clicking Done. I'll go into the research feature, which is here, and I can go into the Astro Signature, and I can pick a category to research. So I've got guitarists here. I can change the category, select a specific category, and you have all these categories. I can select musicians, singers, click OK, and then you would do the research on set up these. In another video, I have a singer talent. In one of the other tutorial videos, I explain how you can set up these things for what you want to research. Maybe you think Venus and Taurus would make a good singer or something else, and you can research that and see if it's true. I discussed that in the other videos. So anyway, why have data in your program? It's convenient. You can do different kinds of research. It's wonderful. So where do we go from here? These are never-ending projects. Well, first of all, before I talk about where we're going to go from, let me just say again, a lot has been accomplished. Hundreds of astrologers, and really it's thousands of astrologers, all the different people. There were magazines years ago, one called the Mercury Hour, the American Federation of Astrologers Journal. We spent hundreds of hours. We hired some people to read those journals, read those magazines, pick the data out, enter it in, and then more recently we got permission to import data from the online AstroDatabank. All the people who contributed that data to those journals, published those journals, a huge amount of work has been done by so many people. And now it's been all brought together. Lois Rodden was instrumental in bringing a lot of data together. There are other major data collectors. I could start listing some names, but I know I'll forget some, and just so many people. So what do we do from here? Now we've got the data in our software. If you have the Sirius 2.0 software, it's right there, and you can connect to the Astro.com. Well, two things. One, we can continue to improve the data in Sirius and also at Astro.com, and we will be periodically updating the data into Sirius. As improvements are made at Astro.com, we want to get those improvements. And we want to obtain more data. Based on the technology that's used for database access in modern software like the Sirius software, we could have millions of data, which shouldn't noticeably slow down Sirius. I don't want to guarantee that because I don't believe anything till we do it, but these are relational databases. They handle huge amounts of data very, very efficiently. So there's no end in sight to how we can keep moving forward in the information age. What we've accomplished so far, when I say we, collectively, the astrological community, through hard work and generosity, and I've mentioned some of the main people who've led this, but so many hundreds and actually thousands of people making contributions, and now we have it at our fingertips in the software, linking online, and we'll just keep working at it. Our team of programmers here at Cosmic Patterns, we just keep working on it. Our mission is huge, so there's we want to work on everything in astrology, not really possible. But here's one huge step made possible through the collective effort of our wonderful astrological community, making this available to you. Okay, so that's how you access the AstroDatabank data in Sirius. Very, very simple. Okay, thank you for listening. God bless. Namaste.